This is my, what I'm going to call do-all table. And it works as a slabbing table for a router sled. But as you can see, I put T-track here, and these rails can be taken off, and then you just have a 28-inch tall table, which we already have workbenches at regular height. So I wanted a low table for working on chairs, for painting things on. And on the front, I put T-track because eventually I would like to make an in-feet, out-feet adjustable height that I can roll up to whatever piece of equipment and adjust it up and down. That may or may not work because I have a 6-foot span here, but we're gonna see. But the main things for this table was to have a table and to have a slabbing table. I just stuck this little bitty slab in here. We do slabs 8 feet long and 3 feet wide. So the table is 6 feet long, the rails are 8 feet. I didn't want anything more than 6 feet because it would be too big to roll around the shop. And if I need bigger, I'll just move the slab, and you can do a slab as long as you want. I also added some little dog holes, and you can buy these things at Veritas, Lee Valley, sorry. They make Veritas tools. So you can buy these at Lee Valley. You put them in your dog holes. I cut this one to fit in between the rails. I would take the rails off if I were doing this. So you put them in there, and boom, you have a sacrificial table for running a track saw. And I've put it to where they're spaced roughly a foot apart. Boom, 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 boom. So you can put a 2x4 sticking out as far as you want. You just let these rails down to do it. So when you want to cut a sheet of plywood with your track saw, this becomes a sacrificial table. Now, but going back to the slabbing idea, this is the way I built it. And I'm already thinking I built this too wide, but I built it wide because it's easy to just replace these and move these rails in. So I made the rails basically like almost little I-beams. All right, so I dadoed this out. So you got a I-beam top, but then you have an L here, and then I've got angle iron here that the router slides on. Now the router will be mounted in a base like this, but this one is this base, as you can see, has a little dog leg for routing up against edges. And so I took a piece of corian and I'll mount my router in here. I intentionally made this wide because I may want to change routers. So I wanted to make sure this would fit whatever router, and then I just need to change the base for the router that I'm using. And I wanted to have room for my hands down in here, but just for the sake of showing, pretend that the router is mounted to that, and it would slide here on these rails. Now, I do have an intention, and it is an intention right now, to take, this is not it. I should have gotten this out before the video, but we're gonna pretend this is a piece of angle iron and mount it up here to keep this from wanting to move up and down. And that may or may not happen. I haven't decided yet if moving up and down, I mean, obviously it's not a good thing, but if your bit binds up, something has to give. So I don't know if I want my router locked in like that. I think maybe I just want it to be handheld down and let it move up in case I hit something. But this, it'll move a little bit up and down. I left a little space because I plan to put some tape on there, some of that slick tape. But basically, I put T-track here. My fence can come out because I may want to make an extension bed for this table to make it wider, because already I've got a slab over here that's almost 4 feet wide that I'm getting ready to work on. but this slab actually gets cut down for a countertop, so I'll cut it before I put it on here. So it's not often that you're gonna have more than 3 feet of slab, but you could. If you did, I've designed this so that I could take one rail off, or both, and use the little orange things I showed you earlier and mount 2x4s to extend these out. I'm hoping not to have to do that, but that's an idea. So these keep it from rocking side to side. They also keep it from lifting up, and it slides easy enough that I can move it, but hard enough that it'll stay put while I'm doing my routing. Now, that all comes off. These rails come off. Boom, you have a table. You add these, you have a sacrificial table for track saw. You add some uprights and a beam here, and you can have an in-feed, out-feed table. You could come up with different things. I even thought, and I'm not saying that this will work, but I thought if you had a bed post and you wanted to flute the bed post, you could take a plunge router in this, plunge it down, and move it along to flute a bed post. I even thought you could mount a little thing here with a live center, and you could take a bed post, put your router over it with a decorative bit, and turn your bed post around it. I'm not saying that would work, but it's a thought. The idea of this table was just to have something versatile, but when I'm not using it for this purpose, that it's not just cumbersome in the shop. I wanted to be able to roll it into our finishing room in order to use it in here. So that was part of the decision to make it 3 feet wide. It's 3.5, excuse me, it's 3 feet 1/2 inch, 36.5 inches. So that's my table. Always my videos are about sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, and somebody might look at this and say, that's ridiculous, I don't need that. Well, that's cool, but someone might say, hey, I don't like it, but I like this little part, maybe I'll use that. So I'm just here to share ideas. Is it overbuilt? Absolutely, it's overbuilt, I'll admit. I got a really good deal on a bunch of T-track, so I have tons of T-track, and this plywood I got almost free, literally. In fact, it was thrown in free with some cabinets that I paid maybe 1/10 of what the cabinets were worth. So I had tons of this white laminated plywood, so it's a lot prettier than it needs to be, but I just want to say I had the wood there. So that's my little table. The video is going to be too long if I don't stop yakking. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.